Okay, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Very much appreciate everyone for being here. I'm Assemblymember Phil Ting and was very proud to work with our mayor, our city, to author AB 857. And AB 857 was actually a very simple idea for all of us who spend time driving underneath 101 or 280. You see very many spots that you wonder, what could we actually be doing it beside with these parcels, other than just seeing them as vacant lots. And I think the city was able to envision this many, many years ago with the South of Market West skate park and dog park, which the city leased for 20 years at $4.8 million. And our bill allows the city to work with Caltrans to find up to 10 parcels of land to be able to lease those at 30% of market rate. And most of these sites right now are vacant. They're not used for any particular purpose. They're not used or really nothing's happening. No. Exactly, there's excitement everywhere. We could have the wedding move over here next. So, it's very excited to be able to work with our city so that we can make these underutilized parcels of land into parks, into open space. We, especially these neighborhoods, are very, land is very underutilized. A lot of this area is highly industrial. You don't see parks, you don't see open space, you don't have places where you can go play. I know that the Dog Patch Business Improvement District has really already taken a lead with the Mission Creek area with their volleyball courts and basketball courts. They've shown a path on how we can do this and how it's going to be much, much more prevalent. But I'm very excited to have worked with our city to be able to bring this to our residents. This was a district bill, so it's only for San Francisco. I would like to thank Caltrans in particular for working with us to find a way and find a path on this legislation. And more importantly, I know the mayor will talk about this, but there are a couple parcels that have already been identified that we hope some point soon we can start negotiating and actually starting the process of turning these vacant lots into open space and parks under our freeways. So with that, let me introduce our mayor, Ed Lee, who really worked with me hand in hand and championed this effort. Thank you.
Let me say Assembly Bill 857 is a winner. And I'm going to take this opportunity to thank Assemblyman Phil Ting, who of course spent many quality years here in San Francisco and continues to focus on our quality of life and to make sure that we're benefiting not only from his presence, the presence of Senator Wiener, David Hughes, and other assemblymen who all contributed to making sure this bill did not have just a singular purpose, but multiple purposes. That's what I like about our San Francisco delegation, because when they're trying to create benefits for us, it's never about just one thing. It's about multiple things. And that's why people working in parks, like former Supervisor Julie Christensen, people are working with our Bicycle Coalition, people are working with our Parks Alliance, all assembled together to say, what can we get out of space that for many of us has been dead space? You know, when you look at freeway land under the freeway, you're generally talking about assemblages of people who are homeless, negative activity, maybe some industrial uses. And in a city as concentrated as San Francisco, how do we creatively and innovatively use space that is kind of dead and inviting of a lot of negative activity into really open, creative, vibrant spaces? And I challenge everybody to go down to the Mission Creek area today and observe and participate. Walk your dog down there. Get a basketball court, get a volleyball court. Maybe even want to do a little boating, kayaking along the Mission Creek. If you walk down there, you'll see the best example we have today on how we turned space that has been very negative for all the residents around there. And in conversations with new residents in that area, created space that complements what I think is our national attention these days, a park for everyone within 10 minutes of where everyone lives. That is what we're doing with spaces along Caltrans property, and we're doing maybe 10 more in the next few years because of Phil's leadership, Scott and David Chu's working together, but Phil was the one that really turned the corner because as kind of small as it might be about the creative language that was used, to go from may consider this to be shall consider this in light of the housing crisis, in light of the fact that we're building housing in areas that don't naturally have open space and needs to have it adjacent within 10-minute walk. This is the most creative effort that we can share. And we think we're going to now have more than 10 spaces. And by the way, they just get created overnight. With the partnerships that we're creating through Rec and Park and the Parks Alliance, these are public-private developed spaces that will be taken care of 24/7. And more than this is absolutely necessary in today's world where the housing crisis is impacting everything that we do, and we need to build more housing in areas that we've never built before. But we need to have, for that quality of housing, the complementary open spaces adjusted to it. We also opened the door for the possibility of some emergency shelter space that I'm going to be very focused on as well. And that's another benefit that Assemblyman Phil Ting has allowed us to have, is the conversation that if we're in a housing crisis, it's 10 times more of a crisis of those that are on our streets. And we need to have areas where we can have temporary shelter to serve that. So as you can tell, I'm excited about this for all the right reasons. The people standing behind me informed these language changes to make sure that our parks, our bicycles, our way of life can continue with quality of life contributions that our open space has. And the Mission Creek Sports Complex is just one of many things that we've done through our Recreation and Park Department in creating these opportunities for partnerships with our private sector. Because when you go down there, you'll see people walking their dogs and people doing all the things that were not done under Caltrans property for many years. And now we get an excitement that we're going to turn pretty negative dead spaces into really positive, vibrant, open spaces and connect them up with the critical housing that we need. It's going to be, I think, a game changer in San Francisco to look at all the space under the freeway. Some work and some don't, so we'll be very selective about them. But I think you're going to see a very big transformation on these dead spaces into really lively spaces. This is going to be, I think, the positive excitement that we have with our delegation in San Francisco that is making a difference, not just at the state level, but bringing back both the language, the resources, the innovative approaches to making sure that our housing crisis is dealt with, our homeless crisis is dealt with, our open space challenges are dealt with in a very positive way. So I can't say enough about how 857 is going to benefit from us, but you'll see the same thing happen in Oakland. You'll see the same thing happen in San Jose, because they're all suffering from negative uses of the freeways for inappropriate kind of tent cities where it's dangerous. You're going to see harm reduction because of the collaboration we have with all the other agencies to make these spaces vibrant and useful for everyone. So, Phil Ting, thank you for your leadership up there. And of course, as the chair of the Appropriations Committee, we're going to ask for more because we know we're going to get a lot out of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and to the entire city for working with us. Next, I wanted to introduce Senator Wiener, who was a partner in this every step of the way. Myself, Senator Wiener, David Chu, we've been working very collaboratively together, especially on bills that are San Francisco bills, and so is proud to be part of a team to make this happen. Senator Wiener.
Thank you, Phil. We have, I think we're lucky that we have a very cohesive San Francisco delegation in Sacramento, myself, Phil, and David Chu. And in this era where Southern California has so much population and representation, that we really need to stick together so that we can, San Francisco can continue to punch above its weight class in Sacramento, which we're continuing to do. So we look out for each other, and we love to partner on these bills. And I want to thank Phil for his leadership on AB 857, and I was proud to co-author it. This is a terrific bill. We have been, in recent years, I think one of the themes in San Francisco and other cities is we're trying to rediscover urbanism, trying to get away from the era where it was all about housing sprawl and moving away from public transportation and focusing on the needs of cars, not people. And now we are refocused on dense, compact housing and walkable neighborhoods and bike infrastructure and better public transportation and rediscovering urban public space. And one of the things we've been doing is rededicating land that was very car-focused into people-focused places. So whether it is the Pavement to Parks program with Jane Warner Plaza in the Castro, or the Noe Valley Town Square where we turned the parking lot into a park, or what this city did with Octavia Boulevard, turning it from a freeway into a wonderful boulevard with a great public square at Hayes Street, and now this. We have all of these freeway overpasses that really cause problems in our city, particularly in the south of Market, Potrero Hill, Dogpatch area. And we know that the spaces underneath freeways attract a lot of different issues. And so anything we can do to make them more usable is great. And this bill will empower the city to be able to work with Caltrans and to create new parks, to really invigorate these neighborhoods. And I'm just very, very excited about this step. And I know that San Francisco will take the next step and actually make it a reality. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Next, I want to bring up Mary Kreisman, who's the State Director of Governmental Affairs for the Trust for Public Land. They've been a huge advocate, in particular around parks in urban areas, and especially for communities that really historically haven't had much recreational space. Mary.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Assemblymember Ting. I am so excited to be here this morning because as someone who grew up in San Francisco and was able to have Ocean Beach as my neighborhood park, this is a city of innovation. This is a city that's figuring out next decade's issues and challenges. And I'm super excited about your leadership over here. I get to spend a lot of time in Sacramento, and I have to tell you, you have the cream of the crop in San Francisco. You have leaders who are really figuring out the innovative ways to solve some of these challenges. And Mayor Lee, Assemblymember Ting, Senator Wiener are champions on parks and open space. They have been before this bill, and they know that being champions on parks and open space is also being champions for healthy communities, champions for climate resilience, champions for clean air, champions for all of that. The Trust for Public Land is a national organization that works to create healthy, climate-smart communities with access to nature for all. And we do that with partnering with communities like the city of San Francisco and Mayor Lee on parks around the city, including Bodecker Park just a few blocks away. And why this bill is so exciting for us is because it is model. It's replicable. We do this work across the country, and what this bill is starting to figure out is how we solve the issue of population growth, of a scarcity of land for parks and open space, and the increase of costs for parks and open space. And this bill is beginning to be a piece of the puzzle to solve all of that. And as we do work around the country, we are looking at this as a model in communities across the country and in communities across the state. This is an example of how your leadership in Sacramento is responsible for passing impactful policies that are going to make a difference for real neighborhoods. This is something that folks in their communities are going to feel. So we're very excited to have supported this bill, really excited about the passage and the governor's signature for AB 857, and grateful for Assemblymember Ting, Senator Wiener, and Mayor Lee's leadership on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next, I'd like to bring up former Supervisor Julie Christensen, who's the Executive Director of the Dog Patch in Northwest Potrero Hill Green Benefit District. I think her district's really demonstrated how to make this a reality. They have a fabulous example in the Mission Creek neighborhood, and they were one of the first community groups to really reach out when we did this legislation to say, hey, how can we help? How can we be part of this? And very excited to continue to find ways to work together. Again, these were neighborhoods that historically were filled with warehouses, not people. So as we've torn down some of those warehouses and they've been replaced with office buildings and with housing, they've really shown the way on how we can do that responsibly. Thank you. Julie.
Thank you. Is it afternoon yet? Good morning. So for those of you who want to follow this story a little further, I really welcome you to come to Dog Patch to a place called Progress Park. It's between Indiana and Iowa, between 23rd and 25th. And it's a lovely space. I have pictures of children swinging in it, people playing bocce, people working out. And it was not built with the enviable budgets or clout of some of the other wonderful projects that Senator Wiener mentioned. It was done with spit and leftovers from the neighborhood who went together and turned a chain link fence surrounded weed-choked lot into a place where neighbors could gather and have a little bit of open space. So please come down to Progress Park. This measure tackles two important issues that those of us involved in positive civic planning struggle with. One is, how do we mitigate the negative impact of the freeways that slice through our urban areas? The camping, the fires, the graffiti, the debris that collects in these spaces, especially as our residences and our workplaces inch ever closer to those freeways. Secondly, how do we provide open space and green space for the fastest growing neighborhoods in San Francisco, nearly all of which line those same transit corridors? So Assemblymember Ting's measure actually, as the mayor said, tackles two problems and puts us way ahead. We appreciate very much the heavy lifting that Caltrans does in San Francisco, the millions of people, the hundreds of tons of materials that pass in and out of our city on a daily basis. But my board member, Jean Bogiages here, has neighbors who remember when they used to look out on other family residences like theirs, and they now face sound walls and chain link fence and razor wire and encampments. This is an opportunity to knit our neighborhoods back together. My common line is that these freeways severed our neighborhoods twice. Once when the elevated freeways went in with their noise and their pollution and their trash, but then a second time when the areas below the freeway were consigned to less optimal uses. Potrero Hill is cut off from Dog Patch by a lot of razor wire and vacant lots and rusted containers, and this is an opportunity to get some of that back, and we're very grateful for it. So my deep thanks to Assemblymember Ting. He said he was going to do this. His perseverance and determination paid off, and we are enormously grateful. To Senator Wiener and to Assemblymember Chu, who helped with this. They've been great in the city. They're terrific for us in Sacramento, and we're lucky to have them. I'm very grateful to the mayor, to the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. Robin Abad from Planning is here. All people who have contributed to this and will hopefully continue working with us to make this a reality. I want to acknowledge Jean Bogiages and Allison Sullivan, board members from the Green Benefit District. The GBD is an amazing construct. Neighbors who voted to assess themselves in order to spend extra funds to clean and green their neighborhood. And Dog Patch is the first one that we know that exists, Dog Patch in Potrero Hill. So I'm grateful for that and happy to represent them. And this is a great day. Hopefully we're going to be having some of these in these parks before very long. Thank you all for your interest.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Again, is very proud to author AB 857, which now allows the city to transform some of our freeway underpasses into parks. And again, I think Julie put it very well. There's not always positive things that are happening under some of these freeway underpasses. So it's our opportunity for the neighborhoods of Soma, Potrero Hill, Dogpatch to really take back ownership of this land. So I just want to thank everybody for coming today. Very much appreciated. I know people will be available for individual questions on the side if you have any interest. But again, thanks so much for coming out today. Appreciate it.